Just like the kind of showing like just the processes that take place for like meat, dairy, eggs, that sort of stuff, right?
Okay.
And is this stuff that you guys have seen before?
Yeah, in some videos.
You see just like online or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. And what's your like initial reaction, you know, from seeing this?
I'm kind of glad you guys are showing it off because it's something we should all see.
Definitely, right? Yeah, yeah. And do you think that if like do you think that if more people saw this, right? Do you think if when we went to the grocery store before we bought bacon, if we saw this footage, do you think people would think differently about the foods they choose?
Yeah, I would think differently.
Think so, right? Yeah, definitely. And and also like, do you think if that there were dogs in this position or cats instead of pigs, do you think that people would you know think differently as well?
Yeah.
Definitely, right? And what are you guys' names, by the way? Hector, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, I'm Hudson, by the way. Anyway, Elizabeth, do you think that do you think that like morally, right? Do you think that there's a difference between a pig or a dog?
No. Both animals, they both have feelings.
They're both animals, both have feelings, exactly, right? So do you think that when we go to the grocery store and buy these products that come from the suffering of these animals, that we kind of like go against those, like, you know, our values of like compassion that we hold towards like dogs and stuff?
Yeah.
Definitely, right? Definitely. So and like after seeing this, what do you guys think would be the best solution?
It's a hard question. I don't know, man.
Yeah. It's like
I
like.
guess maybe doing it your own way. Like let's say if I get some pigs and I create them my own way, that would be probably one solution, and then be like an example or something.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to take down all those places.
Yeah. So like what we're really like promoting and stuff, you know, because do you know why these industries like exist in the first place? So like when you think about it, right, these industries, they're only existing because we pay for this to happen, right? Because although like we don't go ourselves to the farm and say, hey, keep killing animals, when we go to the store, when we buy animal products, we create that supply and demand. We signal the grocery store, buy more products from farms like this. And so like what we're actually encouraging, you know, is like, you know, to go for that route, supply and demand, right? In choosing those different products at the grocery store.
So like, what would you say is we can do differently to make that stop happening?
Yeah, so really all it is, man, it's like, it really comes down to pretty simple. These industries are like trillion-dollar industries, but honestly, when we go to the grocery store, if we're just about to grab like the bacon and we grab like the vegan bacon, if we're about to grab like, you know, the cow's milk and we get like the almond milk, just that alone, like you don't even have to do anything, right? You just grab a different food, and not only are you doing yourself a favor because you're not getting the saturated fat and cholesterol, but you end your contribution to this, right?
So you're gonna stop eating bacon.
So like let me ask you this: does looking more into veganism sound like something you'd be interested in checking out?
It's something interesting that maybe it's to be a long process to get there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something I would want to do.
Cool, man. Yeah. And let's say like that you looked into it, you're like, hey, I want to give this a shot. What do you think would be like the hardest part about it?
My diet, man. I like tacos.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And is it the taste?
Yeah.
The
It's
taste.
also the culture, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's
Yeah, no,
the
I
hardest part.
get what you're saying, man. Yeah. Dang, wow, there's a whole thing going on. Dang.
So, yeah,
Yeah. This is all with us. But I didn't know. But anyway, But anyway, I totally get you, man. It's like definitely ingrained, like especially like, you know, in all of our cultures, right? And also in the taste, right? What I had to ask myself when I saw this footage, and what I'd ask you, right? From your guys' perspective, do you think that taste and like as good as these foods taste, I get you, man, and like culture, right? As much as it's ingrained in our culture, do you think that should justify like the torture of these animals?
No, man, not the way they're doing it. I mean,
Definitely.
if some other place, like let's say in some rural area, they probably be doing it in a more decent way.
Yeah. I definitely think like doing it in in like a more rural environment is better, right? But what's interesting to think about, right, is no matter for any animal product, no matter where, whether it's from a rural area or it's from an industrial factory farm, to get a wrapped package on the supermarket shelf, what do you have to do to that animal?
Oh yeah, you gotta do all that.
Yeah, you have to kill them, right?
Yeah.
And in your opinion, do you guys think that there is a good way to take the life of an animal? Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, if it was a dog, probably not.
Probably not if it were a dog, right? So, and do you think that morally there's a difference when it comes to a pig wanting to live and a dog wanting to live?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so, right? Yeah. So that's what I had to ask myself, right? Because, like, because that's kind of what I had to when I saw this footage, right? And honestly, man, it's like, it's rough for the first like couple weeks, but like after.
Oh, you're vegan?
Yeah. So I've been vegan for not even 2 years, about a year and a half. And but when I say I'm vegan, all that means is when I go to the grocery store, I go to aisle 3 instead of aisle 2 for my burgers. I go to the second aisle and I go to row 3 instead of row 2 for my milk.
Okay.
It's really it's that simple, man. It's because it kind of in our, you know, we kind of have this idea that, like, I remember I thought like, oh, going vegan, that's gonna be some big hard thing, but so like if you guys could eat good food that tastes great and you know, not have to purchase foods from the suffering of these animals, is that something, like, if I were to give you a card, would you be interested in checking that out?
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure, man. And also, like, it's have you guys heard about what goes on with the like dairy and egg industries as well?
A little bit too. Probably the same, not similar, but probably similar torture.
Yeah. So like it kind of same sort of deal. So in all of these industries, right? Because do you know why cows produce milk?
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for their calf, for their son,
For their calf, right?
For the calf, right?
Exactly. So what's interesting to think about, right? And is if considering that happens, right? And so in these industries, dairy calves, the mothers, they're forcibly impregnated. And yeah, and you can see footage of it. It's heartbreaking to see. And but after that, like you said, because cows produce milk for their children, after that 9-month pregnancy, where that mother really develops that strong attachment, just like another mammal, like just like a human would, right? It really develops that attachment right when her child is born. What do you think we do?
Child away.
Yeah, because
we're expecting right now too. That'd be bad.
Yeah. So like, you know, I'm sure you guys have an interesting perspective from this, right?
Yeah.
And like, so what actually happens, because think about it, if that calf is drinking the milk, then that means less milk for the consumers, right? So and then those, if the calves are boys, they don't even produce milk to begin with. So can you guess what happens?
They just get killed.
They're killed. Yeah. And yeah, it's crazy, right? And this is something like when we go to the grocery store, we don't see this, right? And then also even on every farm, even in rural areas, right? As the cows age, their milk production declines, and it begins to decline around 5 to 6 years old, 4 to 5 years old, and normally they live to 20, right? So what do you think, considering that these industries want profit, what do you think we do to those cows once their milk production declines?
They get killed.
They get killed, yeah. And it's wild because it's the abuse is one thing, right? But what's like really crazy to think about is like that we take their life for a meal, right? Because like and same sort of deal with eggs, because
It's like an onboard child too.
so with eggs, actually what's really interesting is only the females produce eggs, right?
Oh yeah.
So what do you think they do with the males?
They just kill them.
They kill them. And can you take a guess at how old they kill them? If you had to take a guess, this is some crazy stuff.
Right next to their, I don't know, man.
So they kill them when they're 1 day old. All the males, and because they don't produce eggs, and often they're either grinded up alive or they're literally suffocated. Yeah, you've seen that, right? Yeah, or they're suffocated in garbage bags. And then once the female, they honestly, they don't get it much better because they're kept in such confined cages. They become psychologically crazy. They start pecking at each other. And what actually happens to prevent that, they cut off their beaks. Yeah, and that's the equivalent as if we were to have our lips cut off. So many of them die because they can't drink water as well. And if it's cut improperly, then they can't eat. And what do you think? Because then their egg production declines as well when they're just about 2, and they normally live to 10. So what do you think happens then?
Get thrown away.
Yeah, then they're killed. And yeah, so like after saying, yeah, if I were to give you a card with some like documentaries and stuff, would that be something you'd be interested in checking out? Sweet, sweet.
A card, you said?
Oh yeah, it's just for like organization stuff. Yeah, check it out, man. And what you can actually do on this card, there's a really great resource here. Let me. You can take one.
You said your name's Hudson, right?
Hudson. Yeah, remember Hector?
Hector, yeah.
Elizabeth. Cool. Well, you can, there's on the back of the card, there's where is it? Vegan22.com, and what that actually is, you can sign up for a free 22-day vegan challenge, and you're assigned a mentor, and there's physicians, dietitians. So if you have any questions about the health aspect, especially like, you know, for example, like, you know, if you just, you know, like for pregnancy, there's people that will help you out with all stages of veganism. And yeah, so actually one of I have like tons of friends from activism that were a part of that did this, and I actually know someone, Coley, she's from LA, and she did a vegan pregnancy, and her kid is super healthy. So if you ever need like any help, there's dietitians, physicians, so so to really like help you out, and just for motivation, it's absolutely free. So there's, you know, like no harm in not trying, right? And it's 22 days, so most people try it, and most people really like it. So yeah, really great resource. And then there's just some like documentaries and stuff. Nice, yeah. That's awesome. That's so sick. But yeah, Hector, Elizabeth, I appreciate the conversation so much.
Thanks,
Yeah.
We appreciate your help.
Thanks, brother. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your night. Take care.